Everybody fucked this up. I don't care who you are. If you say you knew how to pronounce this, you're a fucking liar. You are capping. I am a weeb. I've been one for as long as I can remember, and I will most likely be one until the day I die. However, I wasn't always such a knowledgeable and elite weeb with infinite wisdom when it comes to anime and manga. When I first got into it, I had a hard time pronouncing a lot of the words I'd see and hear in them, especially the names of characters when I would read manga. Let me tell you a little story. So back in high school when I was in the 9th grade, the most popular manga that people would talk about was Naruto, which makes sense because back then the big three, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, were all anybody would talk about. One day, I decided to hop on Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, which had just come out that year with some friends. You're old. Groaning like a geezer. And the friend I was facing asked me what character I was going to use. And back then, the most annoying characters to use were the characters with projectiles like Tenten or Tamari. So I told him I would use Deidria, and he immediately paused before dying of laughter. Now you might be thinking, no show, who the fuck is Deidria? And yes, you heard right, I did say Deidria, but what I meant to say was Deidara. And I said Deidria because that's how I honestly thought it was pronounced. Deidara debuted in chapter 247 of Naruto, which came out back in 2005. At the time, I was 9 years old, and the story I just told you happened when I was 14. I've been mispronouncing his name for 5 whole years. Sure, it's funny, but looking back, I'm not even that surprised. First of all, I was super young, and ever since I can remember, I've always preferred reading manga over watching anime. And that's mainly because at the time, the mangas were way ahead of the anime. So instead of having to wait a week for a new episode to come out, I could just read the manga and find out what happens next much faster. The downside is, I never got to hear how they pronounce the names of characters, which is only possible through the voice acting in the anime. Another reason I probably messed up when I came to pronouncing words in anime were the quality of translations. Back then, getting raw scans, cleaning them, redrawing them, and translating them into English was much more work compared to today. These days, you can easily find English translations of almost any manga because lots of groups do them. So even if one group messes up a translation, you can always find another group's translation, or just Google how the character's name is supposed to pronounce and find the answer on Reddit or some anime website. But back then, there weren't many groups that would take on the job because it was too much work, and I didn't have the money to buy Shonen Jump all the time to get official translations, so it was either take the shitty translations or wait for the anime to catch up. And there was no way in hell I was waiting for the anime to catch up. And the biggest reason why I messed up the pronunciation of so many Japanese words is simply, I'm not Japanese.
Am I a normal person, Miss Bryant? No! I'm black!
I don't speak the language. So of course there are going to be times when I fuck up how things should be said, especially when they're being translated horribly into English. But Deidara's name isn't the only word I fucked up when it came to pronouncing. I'll go through some of the ones I can remember messing up, pronounce them how I thought they were supposed to be pronounced, and then pronounce them correctly. So first up on the list, we have Hunter x Hunter, which is actually pronounced Hunter Hunter. This one isn't too bad, it's less of a pronunciation issue and more of the author meant it to be said like this, so that's how we say it. This one a lot of people mess up, so I can cut myself some slack here. Next we have Laxus Dreyar from Fairy Tail, which is actually pronounced Loxus. This one makes no sense to me. How the fuck am I supposed to know that Lax is supposed to be pronounced Lox? They should have just spelled it L-O-C-S-U-S, Loxus. Actually, never mind. If they did, I would have just pronounced it Locust or Locust like an idiot. The next word, Akatsuki, which is actually pronounced Akatsuki. This one I think a lot of people messed up as well. You're supposed to pronounce the U sound, but just barely. I chalked this up to me just not being a native Japanese speaker, so it's hard to get the subtle and difficult pronunciation here. Elfin Lied, which is actually pronounced Elfin Lied. Everybody fucked this up. I don't care who you are. If you say you knew how to pronounce this, you're a fucking liar. You are capping. Ain't no way anyone thought this was Lied. Apparently the reason for this is that the word Lied is the German word for song, so in English it would be elfin song. They honestly should have just fully translated it, but at the same time I can't hate because elfin Lied does sound pretty cool. Next on the list we have Gecko Moria instead of Gecko Morii. This one I clearly remember. It was fucked up in the shitty translations I used to read because Gecko Moria debuted in chapter 343 of One Piece, which was back in 2008. At the time, I happened to be 12 years old, so this one I'm gonna give myself a break. At least I got the first part right? You know? Isn't that better than fucking up the whole name? And finally, the absolute worst for last. This one I fucked up so hard, and I have no idea how I fucked it up. So the last word is Dressarosa, which is actually pronounced Dressrosa. I honestly have no excuse for this one. I think it was me just being dumb and jumbling up the words in my head while reading, because Dressrosa, it's literally just plain old English. Dressrosa. There's no way to fuck up the pronunciation. And what makes it worse is that the Dressrosa arc started in 2014, and at the time, I was 18 years old. I was way too old to be fucking up basic English words. Anyways, that's all the words I can remember mispronouncing off the top of my head. If you had any anime words you used to mispronounce, I'd love to see them in the comments. It would make me feel less bad and less stupid about all the ones I used to mess up. As always, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, and if you want to see more from me, consider subbing to the channel. On that note, I will catch you all later. Peace.